gear doesn't matter. How true is that statement? In this video, I'm going to be trying to get close to a setup that I did last week. Link in the description, which was my standard YouTube setup. The difference is that I'm going to try and use the cheapest equipment possible to try and achieve a similar result to what I achieved with more expensive gear. The cost of last week's expensive setup was about £3,000. But for this budget setup, I've managed to keep the cost down to around about $400, which is including the camera. If you've already got the camera, then that's a bonus. So for a setup that's a fraction of the cost, does that mean that it's a fraction of the quality as well? Let's find out. So for the camera, I'm using the first proper camera that I ever bought, which is a Nikon D5200 or D5200. It was the first camera that I got that had adjustable ISO, shutter speed and aperture. You can pick one of these up these days for as little as about $150. I half expected this to not turn on, to be honest. I think we're all good. Look at that, it's got a flip screen. There's even some top tier cameras today that don't even have that. And I'm just going to be using the kit lens for this video, which is an 18-55 variable aperture lens. So that means when you zoom in, unfortunately the lens does close down in aperture. You can change the picture profile settings to get a bit of a flatter image. Here's the settings on screen for those who are interested. For audio, I'm using the Rode Video Micro, which comes in at around $50, along with a speaker cable that goes directly into the camera. I'm using a cheap mic stand to get the microphone above my head. Sure, this could go on top of the camera, but good clean audio will give the illusion of a higher production value. A video with good audio but bad video is watchable, but a video with bad audio but good looking video is generally not really watchable. Let's introduce some light. I'm using a super cheap fluorescent softbox that is more aimed at amateur photographers, but I think it'll work fine for this setup. I'm pleasantly surprised with the output of the light. The bulb makes it 5500 Kelvin and the quality ain't too shabby either. Let's bounce some light using a bit of polystyrene, and to keep the cost down I might as well use the mic stand to attach it to. For my rim light I'm using a cheap work light. We're essentially doing a 3-point light setup, but just borrowing some of the light from our key and bouncing that for our fill. Now in the last video I had a splash of colour, so let's try and replicate that here. I'm using another cheap work light with a coloured gel to achieve this. I usually spend a little bit of time adjusting everything, the levels, the positions of all the lights, etc. before I'm happy. Again, to keep the cost down, I'm going to be using free software. So I'm going to use DaVinci Resolve for this. The 8-bit video files in the Nikon D5200 are a little bit tricky to work with, but I think it'll work well enough. So here is the final result. Okay, so here it is. Here is my budget YouTube setup. And in terms of audio, I'm pleasantly surprised with how well the preamps hold up in the old Nikon D5200. But obviously there is a noticeable drop in quality over a dedicated audio recorder. So I had to play around with the EQ a little bit to make the audio a little bit warmer and a little bit more crisp. Also applied a little bit of noise reduction as well. Here is a before and after. She sells seashells on the seashore. She sells seashells on the seashore. So there we are. I hate to adopt the whole equipment doesn't matter, because I do think that that's a flawed statement that sort of needs unpacking. But the way in which you use the equipment that you have has a far greater effect on the quality of outcome compared to just throwing money at the problem. If I were to suggest one area to invest a little bit more money in, it would be in the audio quality, closely followed by one good light. But anyway, there we are. But hopefully what you get from this video is that you can still do a lot with a little. If you like the video, then don't forget to give it a like. It really does help me to beat the YouTube algorithm. Leave a comment and let me know what you think about the whole gear doesn't matter statement. Finally, subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay updated with all of my future uploads. This has been Money Saving Monday, and I'll see you in the next one.